Hello guys, what is up? Today I am doing What If Deku Trained Like a Baki Part 5. And before we get into this what if, I want to address a few things. For those who may be worrying that I will not finish other series, do not worry, I will finish them. It's just that it's kind of hard to do all of this and keep pumping things out, which is why I've installed a new schedule that I'm using next week. Also, in case you guys do not know, I am editing all of this from my phone. Sorry about that noise. I'm editing this all from my phone, so it's a little bit harder than you think. So I want you guys to keep that in mind and be patient. And cue the intro. After fighting Deku, Shinso recognizes his weaknesses and sees Deku as a sort of pillar of strength to reach, and gets more motivated to not only train his quirk but his body as well, seeing as he was completely defenseless against someone who didn't even have a quirk. Back inside the stadium, Deku is doing handstand push-ups and warming up his body, and Todoroki walks in saying that he wants to talk. And Deku stops to stand on his own 2 feet again and says, "Who are you?" Todoroki says, "Todoroki, and I'm going to defeat you. My name is Todoroki, I'm going to defeat you." Deku says, "Really? That's all you wanted to say? Okay, then I'm gonna try my best to defeat you." He says this with a smile and grin on his face, and Todoroki asks, "How can you fight? How can you like fighting so much? It's insanity." And Deku says, "It's simple. I was bred to fight." This reminds Todoroki of his life and how things were for him and how his family suffered because of Endeavor's, well, bullshit. And he tells Deku, and they kind of have a talk where Deku has this sort of empathy because even though Deku was trained hardcore, his dad isn't an ass. So he feels bad for Todoroki and now has a huge disdain for Endeavor. After a few minutes, Todoroki leaves after they talk, and he still swears that he's gonna beat Deku. And Deku's still doing some exercises, and then it's announced that it's time for them to fight, and he walks out. While he's walking out to the stage, he sees Endeavor at the side, and Endeavor says, "You're going up against my son, right?" And Deku says, "Yeah, so?" Endeavor says that he has to get him to use his fire side. And Deku, with the huge disdain on his face, says, "I am not doing anything for you. Don't get cocky just because you're number two." Endeavor Pissed was about to throw fire at Deku, and Deku retaliates by saying, "Are you seriously trying to hit a kid right now? How the hell are you even a hero?" Endeavor ashamed walks away as Deku heads towards the stage and starts stretching, with everyone impressed because not only does he have a fit body, he also has good flexibility, meaning that he worked his body overall, not just in muscle, and he's not stiff anywhere. Midnight announces the start of the fight, and Deku dashes at Todoroki but gets blocked by an ice wall. But Deku breaks it because if I didn't mention it, he can put dents in metal, so ice should be like nothing. After he does so, he throws his scarf to grab Todoroki's leg and pulls him back and throws a huge fast punch at his chin, which makes Todoroki unable to stand up. No matter how much he wants to, he just wobbles and falls back down. And while Todoroki trains his body, you have to be like a really good fighter to overcome the weakness of being hit in the chin, because unless you're like a boxer or MMA fighter, it's really hard to get back up after those hits. They might look harmless, but they are really effective. Since Todoroki can't even stand up and is kind of wobbling right now and is kind of losing his balance, he's seeing all blurry. He's deemed unworthy to fight, and Deku wins. Deku helps him up and he carries him back inside, and they talk a bit more and get to know each other more, gain more of a kinship. And now it's time for while they're talking, Bakugo and Kirishima are fighting, and obviously Kirishima wins because he can use one for all. And it was a close fight. I'm gonna say that it's a close fight because while Kirishima is strong, we can't ignore how strong Bakugo is. I don't like Bakugo, but he has his talents. But it was a close fight, but Kirishima did win. And Deku steps up to the stage and is ready to fight and activates his endorphins because he knows that One for All is a stupidly powered quirk and that he's gonna have to go all out if he wants to win. Deku and Kirishima both wish good luck to each other because they are friends and they do have that kind of relationship. Kirishima goes full cow 7% and punches the air, uh, sending a huge shockwave, but Deku holds to the ground and keeps his stance and then rushes at him with a punch to his stomach that sends Kirishima flying, but it also hurts Deku's hand a bit because One for All does enhance the quirks that you are given. After that, he wraps Kirishima with a scarf to hold him, but Kirishima just rips it, gets out, and then launches at Deku, which Deku can barely perceive, and hits Deku in the stomach. Then at that moment, Deku grabs Kirishima's hand and kind of twists it, then grabs Kirishima's head and shakes it super hard. And this is a scene in Baki that I love a lot. I'll put a photo up right here. It looks really dope. All that Baki did was just shake the head of his opponent, and the dude's brain could not stop going back and forth inside his skull. So that's what Deku does to Kirishima because he knows that if he dragged this way longer than he has to, he would probably lose. And after that, everyone is shocked and everyone is cheering, and they're all hyped and everything because this kid won by using the same technique twice, but in different ways and was strategic and not just rushing in. And he has no quirk, so it's even more impressive. And some people don't believe that he actually doesn't have a quirk, but he doesn't have a quirk. So Deku helps Kirishima up, and his parents are actually up in the stands. Yujiro and Inko are watching and yelling on like "Good job, son!" And a random hero says, "If that's your son, you are really lucky." And the whole crowd is cheering and all that. Deku is awarded the first place medal, Kirishima second, and Todoroki is third, and Bakugo is pissed and still has to be restrained, but just not on the first place podium. After this, Deku starts to walk home with his parents and sees Momo and tells his parents that he'll be back in a few hours, and they know what he means. And then Deku goes up to say, "Hey, Momo," and Momo says, "Oh, Deku, what's up?" Deku says that it's time for their date and that he promised. And Momo says it's fine, but he has to pick her up in after he goes back home and takes a shower because they both kind of stink. They did just fight and do a whole festival. Deku goes home and showers and tells his parents that he's going on a date, and Yujiro is proud because his son is finally getting some, and Inko is kind of crying because this is Deku's first date, and she's happy that Deku found someone because he usually is so obsessed with training that it feels like he doesn't do anything else. So after that, if I didn't mention, Deku does live in a mansion. It's not like how Baki lives by himself. He does live in a mansion with his parents. He goes out to Momo's house and then, you know, goes to the gate and asks for Momo, and then she comes out, and then they go on their date. They go to a movie and an amusement park and have a bunch of fun, and then they go and sit down on a bench to talk about school stuff and how stressful it is to be a hero in this society, and this causes their first kiss to happen. While they're walking back after a successful date or walking hands, a huge man appears in front of them, asking Deku for a rematch. Hanayama is the man that's standing in front of them, and honestly, he's not as shackled to one all for one as the other villains are, so he just does whatever he wants. So Deku is actually thinking of not fighting because he's been, kind of denying Momo those moments a lot because he doesn't hang out with her even though he promises her all the time. And Hayama thinks that Deku's gonna stay, but Deku just picks up Momo and starts running away. And Hanayama's not gonna do anything because he's more of a warrior than a villain. He still does villainous things, but if his opponent doesn't want to really fight, he's not going to push it unless he has to for Yakuza business. Um, and then they come to his house, and Momo is actually surprised because Deku doesn't really flaunt his being rich a lot, so nobody really knows that he comes from a rich family. They enter and go through the hallways and then go to the living room to greet Deku's parents, but instead all they see is blood everywhere and a man with a crow mask under Yujiro's leg, battered up and bloody. And Deku also looks to the side to see Inko missing an arm and a furious Yujiro. Deku runs towards her while weeping and then hugs her with so much strength and that his demon back pops out and he is pissed. But he knows that he has to be rational and make nice choices. So after this happens, he decides to take Momo home and that Yujiro, you know, takes the villain away and that he's gonna be back in a while to get Inko some help, and they called some heroes for backup. So that's gonna happen. So after that, he brings Momo home, and then Momo is actually kind of scared because after their first date, this just happened to be what they saw as soon as they return back home, and she feels like it's kind of her fault. And Deku comforts her again, saying that it's fine. They're heroes. Eventually, he's gonna bring justice to them anyway. Deku goes to the hospital to see his mom after the heroes dropped her off, and Yujiro's there as well, and is kind of pissed at himself as well because he claims to be one of the strongest, but can't even defend his own wife, and they both kind of get even more hyped, and Yujiro actually decides to become a hero himself. I know you guys feel like I'm stretching this a bit, but and yes, I'm drastically changing Yujiro because in the original he is an asshole. But this is my what if. So so it's the next day and Deku is kind of just racking his brain about what just happened. He's so mad and so sad, and he has conflicted feelings. And Momo walks up to him and holds his hand, and everyone speculates they're dating, and they are. And then Aizawa walks in and tells them that they'll be picking hero names and agencies they want to work at, and introduces them to Midnight, which everyone still thinks that her costume is completely ridiculous. How can you call yourself an R-rated hero? Aren't you supposed to be like have a good image? Why is she showed on TV? She's practically a porn star, in my opinion. Um, this time I'm gonna let you guys choose what you want Deku's name to be. If you want me to still keep it Deku, I will. But if not, then I will change and find a new hero name for him. But until then, you guys decide what I do. And this time, Deku is gonna go with Ectoplasm's agency. And if you don't know who Ectoplasm is, he's the clone hero, and his ectoplasm creates clones of himself. And he has pretty good Taekwondo skills, so I think that Baki could learn things from him. And after school ends, everyone gathers around, Deku because they heard the news, and it was all over the news that the quirkless boy who won the sports festival just happened to have the worst thing happen to him, which was getting his family attacked by villains. So everyone comforts him. Momo kisses him goodbye and then goes home. And him and Kirishima go back together, and they support each other. They're bros. Kirishima tells Deku how much he's been improving with All for One, and that he's so close to almost being able to 80%. And that's where I'm leaving it off. Hope you guys like this what if. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below for the things that I asked you. And until next time.